Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are newly subscribed. In today's video I'm going to be talking all about motivation and how to stay motivated during the lockdown. Whilst the country and the whole world really is in lockdown amid the current pandemic, you might be finding it very difficult to stay motivated to work out during this time. Or maybe you're not even feeling motivated at all to work out. So I wanted to do this video to sort of provide some of the ways that I'm staying motivated to work out, some of the ways that I've stayed motivated in the past, and hopefully they will help a few of you out that might be struggling with your motivation at the moment. Obviously, as everyone knows, working out and exercising is very good for your physical health, but it's also really good for your mental health as well. I know for me, it helps to relieve stress if I've had a really stressful day at work. So I think it's really important to at least get some sort of exercise in, even if it's just walking. But hopefully some of the tips that I give you today will put you on the right track to maybe getting some more exercise in. My first tip is to try and maintain a schedule that's as close to possible as what you would have been doing pre-lockdown. So if you go to work, for example, and you sort of already have your routine set in place for that, where you get up at a specific time, you go to work, you come home at a specific time and all that kind of stuff, try to make your routine in lockdown similar, if not the same, as what you were doing then. It just makes it a lot easier to sort of fit things in. You would have known pre-lockdown when you were going to do your run or your exercise and things like that. So it's important to try and maintain that structure, and it'll make it easier when we come out of lockdown that you can just sort of slot everything back in. For me, for example, I am pretty much as close to a routine as possible. I wake up at the same time as I did pre-lockdown, and for the hour that I would have been commuting, I'm using for exercise. Same with if I, for when I finish work, so I usually finish work at 4, I'm doing exactly the same whilst I'm in lockdown at the moment, where I finish at 4 o'clock, and then I've got that sort of hour leeway if I haven't worked out in the morning where I could work out. And then it's sort of business as usual from then on, because I would typically be at home anyway, so it's not really much different. As I'd mentioned in a previous video, I'm not running at the moment, so in the evenings we tend to go for a walk, so me and Philip go for a walk when he gets back from work. Otherwise it's just sort of chilling out in the house and doing other activities that, you know, fills part of your day. My second tip sort of leads on from my first, and it's all to do with sort of setting yourself up a routine. I would try and set yourself up a plan, whether that's you're a runner and you download a training plan so that you've got a structure to the runs and the workouts and things like that that you'll be doing during the week. If you're just a gym goer or anything like that and you sort of want your exercise routine there, it might be helpful to print out a blank like calendar of the month, and you sort of note down the workouts that you want to do throughout that week. When you've got things planned out and sort of written down and you've got it stuck up somewhere where you would typically see it, I think it's much easier and it's much more of a reminder of things to do during the week. So say for instance we've got a board that's in our hallway that we walk past pretty much every day, and you can have a printout of the workouts that you want to do during the week somewhere that you would pass quite regularly, so it's a constant reminder of things that you would have to do. I think that's pretty helpful. My third tip is to get yourself some accountability buddies. If you are used to running with people outside, if you're used to working out with friends, things like that, maybe try and get them involved. Maybe if you're going for a run and you would typically run with a friend, maybe call them, put some headphones in and call them. And then you'll also be able to stay connected with people, which is really important at the moment. But you'll also have that accountability of having someone on the other end that they're sort of relying on you to also run, because you've sort of scheduled that in. Also things like Zoom and I think House Party, there's a couple of apps out there that are all like virtual rooms for you to all gather, and you can all do your workouts on there. If all else fails, a social media account, things like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where you can sort of document what you're doing during the day workout wise, and see what other people are doing, and you sort of have that accountability that way, where you've put it online and you've said I'm going to do X, Y and Z, and you sort of, well, you don't have to stick to it, but most of the time if you put something online and you say you're going to do something, it'd be sort of weird if you didn't. So yeah, I do find social media to be good in that aspect, where I say I'm going to do a certain thing, I'd update what workout I've done that day and then say that my next workout is X, so that people are sort of expecting that the next content that you put up would be the next workout that you planned. So I think that's really good to have either social media or friends that you can rely on to sort of have that accountability there. I always use the phrase, you wouldn't cancel on your boss for a meeting, so why would you cancel on a friend? If you've scheduled in something with a friend for you to do, they're sort of relying on you actually turning up to it, if you will. Even if that's virtually, you've sort of agreed to do that Zoom meeting or that phone call or whatever, so it's less likely that you'll want to cancel. I also find like running communities and things like that on Facebook, like the Facebook groups that you can be a part of, I find them really helpful as well. There's a lot of people posting the sort of exercise that they're doing, and I find inspiration from them. Even just following people on social media, I find inspiration that way from the workouts that other people have been doing, and I find that inspires me. So yeah, definitely get yourself into some like running or home workout groups and things like that for you to join and be inspired by other people. Another tip would be to mix things up, especially for me, with me not being able to run at the moment. I've had to find other means of doing exercise, so that's home workouts, turbo training, things like that. Just mixing it up and having something different to do, something different to your usual. I know everything's sort of different at the moment, so it might be difficult for you to want to get into something else, but sometimes switching up your routine or doing something that complements the thing that you would usually do. For instance, for runners, things like home workouts and strength training is really, really important, especially for reducing injuries. So doing things like home workouts and strength training is really important and would be really valuable for you as a runner. So maybe if you're not able to run at the moment, if you are substituting that exercise a day for a walk with your family or a walk with your dog, things like that, and you're not able to run, maybe do something that complements running, that will help you for when you are back running after lockdown. I did a video, I think it was my last video actually, where I recommended ways to work out, different ways to work out. So maybe check out that video and find out other ways and other methods that you could use to work out if you're not able to do what you would usually do at the moment. I also find it really helpful to do something that you enjoy or something that you find fun, for mixing things up. For example, I'm doing PE with Joe at the moment, and he's so energetic and funny on his videos that it doesn't really feel like working out and it goes by so quickly. Even things like dancing, you can do dancing if you enjoy dancing, just put on a bit of music. Just moving and getting about gets you more energised and more motivated to work out even more. So yeah, things like that. Or boxing, Tai Chi videos, they've got all sorts of videos online on YouTube for you to try something new if you can't do what you regularly do at the moment. It's just about being a bit more inventive with the situation that we're in at the moment. The next one, which I find really important, is to make sure that you set yourself some goals. Like you would if you were training for a race, you've got that sort of race end goal in mind, and you'd have subset of goals in mind for that race, whether that's to get a certain time, get a PB, whatever it is. So you've automatically set yourself some goals there. It's important to do the same while we're in lockdown, to set yourself small goals that you want to achieve, whether that's if you want to lose weight, gain weight, whether you want to get a certain time goal, a distance goal, and even something as small as being able to do a full push-up. That is one of my goals, to do a full push-up whilst I'm doing all my home workouts at the moment. So just setting something that you'd want to achieve at the end of it, I think is really important, and it gives you something to be motivated for and something to work towards. I often find that if there's nothing that I'm working towards, like a race or anything like that, I'm less motivated. So having sort of goals in mind that you want to achieve, I think is really good. So the next one, I'm going to give you a quote which I think is quite relevant. "I really regretted that workout, said no one ever." So I think it's important to remember why that you work out, why you exercise, and why you did it pre-lockdown, and sort of remember why you did the exercise in the first place and why you should still continue it. I always remember the high that I get after a workout, how much energy I have after a workout, how good I feel after a workout, and that sort of spurs me on to continue doing it as we are in the lockdown at the moment. I don't think anyone ever feels worse after a workout or a run or anything like that. I particularly haven't. I sometimes struggle to get out the door or to start a workout, but I've never actually regretted starting it, and I always feel better afterwards. So I think it's important to remember why you do what you do and why you exercise as a way to motivate you to start it. My last and final tip, although it's not really a tip, is just to not put too much pressure on yourself. I think at the moment, with everyone being so stressed with the pandemic that's going on at the moment, I think it's so important to not add that pressure to yourself. I think everyone at this stage feels some sort of pressure to be learning something new, doing something new, achieving something, making sure you stay active as much as possible, and we sort of get into that comparison trap of comparing ourselves to everyone else. And I think it's really important at the moment to just be kinder to ourselves and just to make sure that we take care of ourselves, and that means not having that added pressure of having to work out. If you really can't stand the thought of working out at the moment, don't do it. It's not going to be the be all and end all of it. It's not going to be the end of the world if you don't run, if your fitness depletes a bit, if we gain a bit of weight at the moment. It's not really important. What is the most important is taking care of yourself. And things like that don't really matter at the moment, and this is only a temporary thing. So when we come out of lockdown, they are things that we can get back to and work on once we're out of lockdown. And they're things that we can reverse, if you will. So say if you gained X amount of weight, that weight can come back off. It's not a permanent change. This whole thing is not permanent. And I think that's important to remember and to keep in mind. So they are the tips that I have for you guys, and I hope that some of you find these helpful. I hope some of you try these out if you're struggling for motivation to run, work out, do whatever you would usually do. And just remember that if you don't, and you don't really find any of these helpful, then don't put so much added pressure on yourself. It's okay not to be doing things at the moment. It's okay not to be doing everything. So yeah, if you do end up using some of these tips, if you've got any other tips for motivation, leave them in the comments below for other people to check out. As a reminder, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe. It really helps me out. And give this video a thumbs up and let me know that you liked the video and found it helpful. Otherwise, I hope you are all having a good weekend, whenever it is that you are watching this, and I will see you again next Sunday for another video. Bye.